does he work? This?
I don't know. You're on it still. You just close this out. Close it out. Okay. There you go. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about lots of things that affect birds, right? So, the college is part of Lights Out Heartland. You can be too, or any place the church could be part of Lights Out Heartland. And it is just an effort to reduce, light pollution and agree to turn off your lights, from like 11 PM to 6 AM during migration seasons. So, and they have lots of great information. Okay, so in the late 50s, this is what light pollution looked like in the United States, right? And this is our region. And then in the 70s, this is what it began to look like. It's 1997. And this is 2025.
Holy cow.
And so you can see in the western half of the US, there is no true darkness anymore. You have to go to very western Kansas and Colorado before you will find any true darkness. Even if you're in the national park here and you think you're camping and it's very dark, it is not actually 100% true darkness. Hello.
Oh, that's.
And so here is our region sort of blown up, and there's Lawrence specifically. And there's a bigger view of it. And so you can see even where we have darkness, it is not black.
Okay, so where's downtown Lawrence during their presentation?
Oh, okay.
Hold on. What is that bomb that's?
You see the circle over here, Topeka's on the edge of that, so
Yep.
Lawrence is the next pink dot, right?
That's Kansas City, Lawrence, and Topeka
And then the big,
in the circle.
So are we the two little dots, one above the other?
In the circle, it's Kansas City, Lawrence, and Topeka.
So the circle thing.
Can you see the circle? It's kind of like.
I see all kinds of circles.
That, oh, that circle.
Oh,
Kansas City, this
Yep.
is Topeka, this is.
okay, all right. I couldn't even tell where.
Yeah.
Colorado's
Yeah.
Right.
It should be.
Yeah, this is
you're right.
Albuquerque
Yeah.
for
I'll check it.
Okay,
comparison, we're all.
Santa Fe.
All right. Now there's something else wrong. Okay, oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So this is, a term that's been developed, noctalgia, meaning sky grief, because none of us can see the true sky anymore. And this is true living in Kansas City. I do not think about the sky hardly at all. But this is, northern Minnesota where I was raised, and my family did have an island, and that is what I saw when we were there on the lake. So I am one of those people that really misses the sky. And when we go out to Colorado, we are actually in a dark sky sanctuary there, and it is amazing. You can see it's almost light because the stars are so bright. And this is how dark sky rates the darkness. So we are probably living somewhere between rural sky and inner city sky. And then this is the Bortle scale, which is the scientific scale of darkness. And so we are somewhere probably between a 4 and a 9 at all times. And so one of the first things that happens if I bring up dark skies and dark sky lighting, and especially in my facilities group at the college, they say, well, you know, people can't just walk around in the dark. But that's not what it means at all. It means, you know, having good lighting that doesn't blow light up into the air or to the sides. And unfortunately on the campus, we have both very bad and best. And even when you're walking around, you can tell a lot, the feeling and the difference. One area is like very harsh and the next area feels super calm. And there is an example of that. So that's dark sky lighting on one of our newer buildings. All the lighting is softer, it's facing downwards, it's not blowing light into the air. And then we have our older lights on our library and in our parking lot, which is right adjacent to that area. And you can see it's just blowing light all over the place, right? And so we're gonna be working on this project. There's our very bad lights. They are open on the top and the bulbs shoot the light completely upwards. And then our parking garage is an issue as well. This is 9:30 at night. We went to a performance and we were walking back to my office. Those are robins at 9:30 at night, and they're foraging in the light of our parking garage. And so not only is that like a disruptive behavior, but they also would be exposed to, there's some coyotes that live about 2,000 feet that way, and they do come on campus. So they would potentially, run into coyotes, which is something that they really shouldn't be crossing paths with. And then light, again, should be targeted and used only where needed. It should be necessary and useful, so like it should have a clear purpose, right? And it should take into consideration how it impacts its environment as well. And there's lots of different alternatives to having lights on like all the time. And also it should be controlled. So again, lights off after 11 p.m. That's what's helpful to birds between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., especially during migration season. And then, motion detectors I think are great because like if somebody comes into our backyard, all of a sudden all the lights will go on, right? And there's a lot of people that argue that having bright lights on all the time is a security issue, or, it's for security. But there's actually been studies that show that it doesn't actually make anything more secure. The people who are looking to like break into your building or whatever, steal things off your property, what they're looking for is like stasis. If those lights are always on all the time and nothing moves, that's what they're gonna notice. Doesn't matter if it's lit or not, they're gonna say no one's there, right? But if the lights are on and off, if they're unpredictable, then it adds a little bit of iffiness to that situation. So that's actually a more secure situation. And then solar lights are great because late into the evening, they just sort of dissipate after people have gone to bed. And then keeping your light levels low. So actually having really bright lights, you can see creates more hard shadows. And so that can also be a security issue because in the glare, you may not see someone walking towards you or someone hiding in the darkness to the side of that garage. Whereas a warmer color and a lower light level gives you actually more vision and to see further back into those shadows. And then color is important. And part of the reason color is important is because, first of all, we don't see blue light very well, right? It is actually really hard on our eyes. And I know in Kansas City, some of the LED lighting they put in as street lights were bad and they were purple, and I've heard there's some here too. Yeah. And they're very hard to see and get your eyes adjusted when you're driving through them. And also blue light really messes with your melatonin and your sleep cycle. And it messes with everybody's sleep cycle, right? So warmer lights are better.
Everybody being
Animals, bugs, yeah, everybody, everything. And so this is a neighborhood in California that went dark sky in 2013. And you can see the difference, like you can still walk around that neighborhood and get around and everything fine, but it's just not like glaringly bright. See how the trees were all lit up before and everything, and now it's dark so that, animals and bugs and birds and things can exist in those trees in their more natural state. And if you have any electronics in your bedroom, especially any that have a little blue light and you don't have it covered, ask Steve how particular I am. It is probably disrupting your sleep in some way, right? It is not good for you to have basically any light where you're sleeping. So trespass into our home from street lights and stuff, we have that problem as well. And then it can mess with your health. Like you can get high blood pressure, you can have trouble losing weight, you can have mental health issues because you're not getting a decent night's sleep. It's also bad for bugs. So what's bad for bugs is bad for birds, of course. This is, I believe this is mayflies. And what happens is that they will gather into the light like that. And then they will they think that the concrete that's lit below is actually water, and they will lay their eggs there. And then we just lose a whole generation, right? And they don't get to reproduce in a way that benefits birds or other animals. They've done a study that shows trees that are lit at night, like ones that are under streetlights and stuff, the leaves get so tough they can't actually be eaten by insects anymore. And then the other problem is that light affects, as I said, behavior. But if you've ever wondered why bugs get into the light and they just seem to be like spinning around in there and stuff. Another study that came out last year is about dorsal light response, and apparently bugs try to keep the light to their back, like the sun or, you know, whatever. It's how they sort of orient themselves to flying and everything. So when they get into a big pool of light, of course, they're trying to keep the light to their back, but it's coming from everywhere, and they end up just spinning out in those areas, and they literally cannot leave that pool of light. Like, it's not just because they're attracted to it, it's because they're trapped there. And then, of course, fireflies lose their drive to mate because it's all based on little blinky lights, right? And so we know light affects birds as well. This is the Twin Tower Memorial. Those are all birds, and they too get trapped in the light. And so migrating birds get trapped into those two beams of light, and then there are volunteers now that count, and when they get to a certain number, they turn the lights off for 20 minutes and they release the birds, and then they turn it back on and it just starts over again.
Why do they leave them on at all?
It's the memorial. Right. So there's times of the year it's a lot worse than others. During migration, it's a bigger issue. So most birds migrate at night, actually, which I didn't know when I started my study, why the birds were always hitting the windows in the mornings, and that's because they're flying at night, right? It's cooler, the atmosphere is more stable, there's fewer predators. I actually just witnessed a Cooper's hawk take a bird out of the air 2 days ago on campus. It was very impressive. But you know, that would not happen in the dark. You know, there's owls, but there wouldn't be like Cooper's hawks and stuff like that. So there's fewer predators, and then but so the issue with lighting is that so there's light at night on like big buildings and that kind of thing, and that can disrupt migration because they're flying high in the air. They get confused by the lights. I looked at you and I got confused for a minute. They get confused by the lights, and then they get either trapped in like the memorial or they run into a building that's uplit, right? But like on campus and everywhere else, like downtown Kansas City, what's happening is that when it gets close to that time when they're supposed to land in the morning, they will be confused by the light, and then they'll land like downtown Kansas City or on our campus, and then they're spending the day, you know, trying to find food and stuff, but they're in this environment that's full of glass and cars and stuff like that. So that's kind of an issue. And then we are right here on the Mississippi Flyway, but it butts up right against the Central Flyway, and we get a ton of birds through this area. And I have not looked up why this is, but birds on the western half of the US fly lower to the ground. And then you look at that map of light pollution, and I've started to wonder if those two things are related, right? But I saw this graphic, and then I have not looked up like what they think the actual mechanism is that makes the birds fly lower. So I need to look into that. But you can see, based on light pollution, Kansas City is number 8 most dangerous city for birds. And that's because birds get attracted to the city and then end up landing downtown. So this is a fall migration, but you can see how thick it is right here through Kansas City. And this is a really cool thing to look at, Birdcast. You can watch a live like radar of the birds migrating, and there's these 2 lines that come up. So it'll go sunset, and the sky will fill with color, you know, all the birds migrating, and then sunrise comes across, and they all just drop off. And so they are landing wherever, you know, that sunrise came across. So if they're in Kansas City when the sunrise come across, then they're here. And you will know, that's one of the ways that I know, like, how many birds are we going to expect to get on campus that day, right? Because 700 million birds came through our area that night. That this is actually kind of a calm night, 299 million birds. But yeah, this is a really cool thing to look at. I look at it almost every morning. So this is another example of night lighting. McCormick Place in Chicago, this just happened fairly recently. They had low cloud cover, lots of birds were migrating across the lake. This building is lit 24/7. They flew into this building, and this building has killed up to 40,000 birds up to this point. But this morning it killed over 1,000 birds. And so fortunately, because it was such a mass event, it made the news. They got in big trouble with federal wildlife. They actually got fined. I think they're one of the first buildings to be fined for killing birds. And they last year spent $1 million putting dots on the windows. And from what I've heard back, it's been about 96% effective. So it's a huge drop in the number of birds that this building alone is killing. But Chicago is number one on that list of bad places for birds. And this is a place in Texas, kind of the same thing. Birds are migrating. They're confused by the uplighting on this building. A whole bunch of them run into the building and die. Mass event, gets a bunch of press. They decide to go to more of a dark sky and stop lighting the building up to prevent birds from running into the building itself. And so a lot of people think that tall buildings are the issue, but they only kill probably 1 to 2% of the birds, less than 1%, I guess. And it's residences that are some of the worst places, and then low-rise buildings. And where do we find low-rise buildings, right? I mean, college campuses. KU has problems. People send me pictures. And then like almost every office building, because low-rise would be like 7 stories and below. So in this area, like we have a ton of buildings that are that height or below. If you think of corporate, does everybody know where Corporate Woods is? I know you do, right? That place just makes me kind of nauseous because it's literally in the woods and it's a bunch of glass buildings. We've gone walking through there before and just found a ton of dead birds behind one of the buildings. So it was they were kind of hidden, so we put them out where everyone could see them. But we're killing about 1 billion birds every year, they estimate, just in the US from windows. So my window collision, and this started, so I started at the college in 2015, and then by 2016, I had realized that there are certain times of the year where I was finding a lot of dead birds, like right outside where I was, my office door, basically. And sometimes I was finding multiple birds at a time. You can see like those two were probably a mating pair. Those two were flying together, but not related to each other or not the same species. And I was also seeing birds I'd never seen before. Like I had no idea what a rose-breasted grosbeak was, or a yellow-billed cuckoo, or a nuthatch. And I knew it had to do with the glass, but I did not understand like what was happening to make them run into the glass. And that's when I decided to do this study so we could see like where it's bad and figure out what is happening. And so we started walking these routes. It's about 2.5 miles. During migration season, we walk them every morning. So middle of April through usually the 1st or 2nd week of June. And this morning, like one of my interns went and did the walk. She did the whole thing. Steve and I go do it sometimes with the dogs on the weekends. But every morning during the week, especially, my interns or volunteers will walk these routes, and then we'll find dead birds. On Friday, we found 3 birds that were trapped in the stairwells of our parking garage, 1 live orange-crowned warbler that was badly injured, and 2 dead birds. So like that could be a real typical day during migration. And then we record them like this. So we'll put this orange cone down and we take like a context photo so we can see what potentially has happened here. But also what that does is once you start seeing this same spot over and over and over again, like you know that that's one of the issues, right? And this was a scarlet tanager. It left us a nice red feather on the window, so we knew exactly where it hit. And you can see there's dots on that bridge on the lower glass. And this is part of the unintended consequences I knew there would be. So I put those dots on the glass, and the minute I did, birds started correcting up and hitting the piece above it. So now we have dots there. We don't get strikes on that area anymore. And this is kind of what it looks like, all the little orange dots there on the map. There are concentrations on certain buildings in certain areas. And then we record everything on iNaturalist. And so the JCC bird collision study, you can follow it if you want. if you're good at birding, you can get on there and help us identify birds because we don't always know what we've got. Lots of the little yellow ones I can't tell apart yet, and sparrows I still struggle with.
Website and an app or just a website?
Yeah, there's a website, iNaturalist, yeah,
Okay.
you can do either one.
iNaturalist is an app though. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's an app that we use to record the birds, but it's also online, so, and you can add stuff to it online too.
Okay.
And then in 2018, when the study started, this is sort of the first year's data. So we had quite a few deaths. We had, surprisingly, were all the little yellow dots there on the triangle. 54 trapped birds. Like no one ever told me that there were birds being trapped in the big stairwell on the parking garage, right?
Yep.
And yeah, we get a lot of them in there. 42 injured birds. We managed to catch 20 of them. We took them to Operation Wildlife. Most of them did survive. They think that probably 70% of birds that hit a window and survive and fly off will die within 36 hours. So it is important if you can get them to rehab so they can give them medication to stop the brain swelling and check them for other injuries. Everybody kind of thinks that like once they can fly off that they're okay, but mostly they're not. So, and we have found just birds that have flown off and we've gone and checked later and it's literally laying on the ground under the tree that it went to, because they can't keep their balance and stuff. But yeah, and we estimate that we only find maybe 50% or less of the birds that strike windows. So we've got fly off, predators, human activity, like there's one building where somebody thinks it's best if no one sees them, so they kick them into the bushes, and I'm sure we don't find them all that way, right? But I pretty much trained everybody on campus that if anything to do with birds, they're supposed to call me. And it works pretty well. So we found different stuff going on. So we have some clear glass that's just thrown up into the air, that's a problem. Trees reflecting into the reflective glass. We've got bird funnels, so we have a lot of buildings that were, a lot of them were two buildings, or one building existed and then they built another building like this and then they connected them at the back. So we have a lot of V's and U shapes and stuff like that. And my consulting biologist calls those bird funnels because the birds sort of follow them in and then there's, glass at the end. And then we have a lot of bridges that are at tree height. And I mean, that's an optical illusion even for me, because it looks like the tree in the glass is the tree behind, but it's the tree in front. And so if you're cruising at 20 miles an hour, and you have poor depth perception, it's rough. So this is sort of what it looks like right now. We've done remediation on a lot of the windows, and you can see we've dropped the strikes by about 50%. We had a couple of years that were really low for 2022 and 2023. I don't know why, nothing changed on campus that I know of. And then last year we went right back to the former level. So I think that's probably the true level that we're at. Those 2 years, maybe migration took a different path and we got different kinds of birds in. Some are more prone to hitting windows than others. But you can see like 70% is my goal. And then we don't count robins because they're on campus year round and they run into everything. So I can't possibly fix any windows for them, but they have greatly benefited from what we have fixed already. So they are also way down in deaths, and mourning doves as well are kind of the same way. We call them random robins, and mourning doves are just not very smart birds. I hate to say it. So we currently have about 6,500 square feet of treated windows. A lot of it got done late fall last year, so we're still gonna see what happens here this spring for numbers. And this is sort of the two patterns that we chose. So, I mean, you can barely see the dots on the one side. And those are like the most common and most effective treatments is a 1/4 inch dot every 2 inches. We call it hummingbird spacing because it will stop a hummingbird from hitting the glass, and that's our smallest bird in North America. And then on the bridges, we went with a more decorative pattern. And I was given the goal of professional invisible. And so the dots are practically invisible to the eye, and the decorative is invisible because people think we just decorated the bridge and they don't realize that it's for protecting the birds. And so, again, this is the bridge pattern. Unintended consequences, I left, the material was 48 inches wide. I put it through the middle, quickly found out that the birds were correcting upwards and hitting a 12-inch strip at the top. So we have now fixed the entire bridge, so there's not an opening and both sides are done. So you can see we've had 0 strikes for like the last 3 years.
So did you put dots on that particular bridge? Did you put dots above the glass as well?
Above the glass?
Or just like you said that they were correcting and going above?
Yeah, so you can see it runs through the middle and I left a 12-inch gap at the top and the bottom. And
Of the
of the
glass.
glass, yeah, without dots,
Mhm.
and they still run into it.
Yeah,
So you have to really keep,
you have to full cover.
yeah, and you have to keep that spacing really tight, or yeah, they'll hit a 12-inch opening.
Sure.
This is the place outside my office where I started finding all the birds. You can, I said, it says glass man door, which is hidden behind there. And you can see like all the white dots were the birds I were finding that first year. They're dropping like right where I walk into my office, right? And then I thought I'd be clever and I was trying to stretch the money. And I only treated those windows and immediately they just started turning and hitting the windows on the other end, right? So there's hardly any white dots there until I treat that and now they start hitting the other end. So we did put together enough money, the students paid for it, to treat the whole area now with dots.
Was that from the student environment, what, SEA fund?
The SSC,
SSC.
so they have funded most of it. The college gave me $15,000 on the first round as well.
And are these like the hummingbird size?
Yes, it's the hummingbird space dots on there. And as I mentioned, we expect that about 70% of birds that survive a window strike will die within 36 hours, either from their injuries or because they are not fully recovered and they become predated. And these are sort of the other things that kill birds in high numbers. Everyone always brings up wind turbines. They do kill like 300,000 birds a year. A lot of it is raptors, so it's a different type of bird than migrating songbirds. But cats are actually, the outdoor cats are the #1 killer of birds. And there's the spacing that's critical. We did try some other spacing. 3x3 worked pretty well. 4x4 didn't work, in my opinion, well enough to have paid to put it up. We actually took some 4x4 spaced dots out of some windows and put 2x2 back in because it just wasn't doing enough for us. And if you're gonna do it a vertical line, you can get away with a little more space, but if you're gonna do dots, you have to do 2x2 or horizontal ones. And then interior window treatments can make things sort of better or worse. So you can see this is the president's office on the untinted versus tinted. And you can guess which side gets all the strikes, right? The one that looks like a park? Yeah. And then the middle one is our library. It looked just like the president's office with the tinted. They let me take it all out when they remodeled the library, which I was super excited about. And then they immediately hung some black shades behind it, which you can see is almost as bad, right? The good news is the shades are open most of the time, but we still are getting like 4 to 6 birds on the back of the library. And then this is downtown Kansas City. And just to show the difference between if you hang something light behind the glass, it sort of flattens out the reflection a lot more than if it's left dark behind there. And so that can help, like if you're in a situation where you can't do something to the window itself. And then these are some of the different decals that are available. So there's vertical stripes, again with the dots. Those would be, in my opinion, they're a little far apart. Plus they're kind of ugly, but.
Like a checkerboard.
Yeah, the checkerboard. And those UV decals that they'll sell you at the bird house, what are they called? Wild Birds Unlimited or whatever. Okay, those don't work, okay? Like, it's a nice idea, but they're not, you can't put it, if you're not gonna put them every 2 inches, you're still gonna have some strikes. So This is actually the least expensive, most effective thing you can do is these Zen curtains or Acopian bird savers. And this guy's great because you can either buy these pre-made, right? Or he has a how-to video on how to make your own. And then there's a whole bunch of pictures of people who have made their own like super creative different ways to hang the ropes on their house. And that will stop a bird from running into the window. And that's just black paracord. And because it's for parachutes, it's meant to not tangle. So like when it's windy or whatever, like if it crosses each other, you won't get a knot. But you can do decorative things, you know, you can hang beads or shells, or you can throw some curtains up around your porch and kind of cover the windows that are to the back a little bit. And that should help also. And then using markers or window paints on the outside, having dirty windows. Here's your excuse, right? Especially don't clean them during migration. Yeah, right? And then louvers or outdoor screens are always good. And that's something you can do too, like just during migration, if that's your issue, you could make like a window screen, you know, on a bar, kind of like the ropes, and hang it up and just let it hang there through May and then take it down when you don't need it. And you'll have, in the fall, you'll have to have it up a little longer, like August, September, or October, but because fall migration's much more spread out.
And what were the spring months?
Pretty much May.
Just in May?
I mean, it starts kind of mid-April,
Uh.
but I'm not kidding, May 1, it's like someone
Wow.
turns on a faucet.
Huh.
And then it pretty much ends at the end of May.
Huh.
We get a few that come into June and then,
Huh.
yeah. And then if you really are in a place, like I said, where you can't do something to the windows because you rent or you're in an apartment or whatever, you can do, like, those are Post-it notes inside the building, but you can definitely see them. So light colored, lots of pattern, that can help. And then like we have a glassed in room on the front of our house, like a sun porch. And because there's glass on two sides, the birds can see through the corner and then they'll hit that corner. So we just have curtains hung on the inside so that they can't see across that corner where the glass is. And that has stopped them from hitting the glass out there. And that's pretty much what I have for today. Do you have any questions or?
I came today with the idea of making something available to members of our church who are interested in taking this on.
Okay.
And I was wondering if, like, when you attach dots, I'm a little bit spatially challenged when it comes to actually applying stuff. It's going to wrinkle if I touch it. And so I was just wondering, do you have some ideas about, like, if we were to invest in something and then to sell at cost to our people so that they could apply to their windows?
Like a sheet instead of individual dots?
Like a sheet,
Yeah.
or I'm trying to think creatively, because I mean, you were showing fabric strips, you were showing, you know, beads, and so on and so forth. I'm just wondering, like, if you have a plain old window, but you know, here comes May 1 and you find that you got a couple birds already dead by May 15th, you know you got a problem. I've got a insulating shade that is on my most exposed window, and I've had 0 bird strikes. It's light, it's inside, but it seems to do the trick.
Right.
But I've got other spots that I probably should be doing something about, and I need to go out and look and see what it looks like from the outside. But what are your thoughts about, you know, what would you recommend investing in if we were to see if the congregation were interested in this?
So I'm trying to think of the brand. It'll come to me. There's a company that sells not only in sheets, right, but they sell them like in rolls. And you have to sort of measure it out to get, you know, to roll it out. But it's more like a tape that you put on and then you peel it off and the dots stay. But those Acopian bird savers with the ropes, like that's a really easy thing to do, because you can make that like in your yard or your garage. and then just hang it in front of the window and it's already assembled.
Those are like the beaded stuff?
Yeah, or those black ropes.
Oh.
It's called paracord, yeah, parachute cord or paracord, and you can buy it generally at the hardware store. And then you can staple it or screw it onto like just a strip of wood, and then you'll have to figure out how to attach that wood above your window or from the soffit or whatever, so the ropes hang down over the glass.
Mhm.
But as long as you put those ropes every like 3 or 4 inches in between, that should stop the birds from hitting your
So
glass.
it might be that we would sell a panel of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or offer if people have, you know, offer maybe to help them assemble them for the size of their window, you know, or something like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, the paracord's not too expensive. I just bought 2,000 feet of it for, I think, $140. And cause I am making a giant one of those to go across the whole side of a building. And the problem is that the birds are flying into an opening in on the second floor of a building. It's 2 stories everywhere, but in one place they built it 1 story with this opening into a courtyard, and the whole courtyard is glass on the inside. And then they get in there and it's got solar panels on the roof. And then there's a bridge on one side and a metal panel on the other. So once they get in there, they don't have good choices, right? And so my plan is, instead of treating all these windows, right, I'm gonna hang this rope over the opening, the curtain over the opening, in an attempt to get them to stop going in there at all. So,
And the curtain hangs down to what level?
so in this
Is it like
case,
a walkway?
no, actually, it's gonna hang from a roof or help me out, Steve, an I-beam, right? On the canopy roof, down to the roof on the first floor. So, because the whole building is 2 stories, except for 60-foot opening is 1 story. So there's like
So
an
you're
opening
creating
there.
a second story.
I'm creating a second story, correct, with ropes in an attempt to get them to stop flying into there. So, but that is the least expensive and most effective thing, is that rope system. And they're called Acopian Bird Savers. Like I said, he has a great website, shows you how to make them, lots of examples.
How do you spell a copy?
ACOPIAN.
Okay. Bird savers.
Yeah. And then the other place I would recommend looking into is the American Bird Conservancy.
Okay.
And they have a whole section where they have tested different solutions to stop birds from hitting windows. And they have like all the different brands of stuff in there and like how they rate it and all that kind of thing too. So, feather friendly,
That's good.
that's the dots.
Feather friendly, that's the name of the company.
Yes. I'm like, it'll come to me. So that is the company that did McCormick Place, that did the $1 million worth of dots on McCormick Place. And the ones that we did, we had custom made at a sign company because the college chose a material that nobody uses. It's etched glass looking, so it's very architecturally
Cool.
sympathetic. And that comes in giant sheets, yes, and they come in giant sheets, but he also, like I said, he also sells a
That's,
tape.
that's what I wanted to know, is if somebody's kind of, you know, how you buy tiles at Home Depot, you don't buy like individual mosaic tiles and like.
Right, it's all
assemble them,
together.
it's on a sheet and you just slap it up there.
Yes. And it kills me.
So do they do that?
Yeah.
With these stickers, okay.
Yeah, so it
That's
kills
what
me
I-
because I'm the zero waste coordinator and I'm in the Center for Sustainability, right? And to put bird dots on the windows, I'm having them take a whole sheet of material, cut a bunch of little dots on it, weed out the entire background, cover it with tape, stick it to the window, you peel the tape off, the dots stay, like it's so wasteful, I hate it. But, you know, what are you gonna do?
Use paracord.
Use paracord, yeah, right. So, yes, and I would have a flyer, I can actually get you some,
Oh,
that I would have normally brought, but I came here from, not from home where I had brought them to. I was quite
Yeah,
convinced
send it.
that I was doing this tomorrow. Yeah. So thankfully, she texted me and I'm like, oh, we were out running errands.
Oh, by the way.
Well, your
Yeah, we-
study has
yeah.
really helped us. I mean, we don't have to do a bird study to know that there's a problem.
Yep, exactly. How about the church? Does the church have any issues?
And that's
that
what
you
I was gonna
know?
ask, if you noticed windows as you drove in, if there were.
I didn't have time, but I'll take a walk around.
That would be.
Yeah, and I
helpful,
don't know, I
right?
mean, it's probably
Maybe
our
our
building manager question to see, you know.
Yeah,
if
if it's
it-
found any birds or, yeah.
The weird thing is, okay, so facilities people see this totally different. And so when I talk to all my facilities, like grounds people and stuff, and I'm like, so how many bird strikes are there? They could remember like, so one time we had 14 cedar waxwings hit a bridge and die, right? And they tend to flock, and so
Yeah.
they're very vulnerable to large scale collisions. And they remember once there was a hawk, right? But they're like, nah, it doesn't happen very often. And then but then their job was to tell me if they found anything, right? And so they would text me, I have a special text line for it. And I'd come out and they'd be like, so what number is this? And I'm like, this is 83. This is the 83rd bird. And they're like, I thought it was like 2. Every year I'm
The
like, you
perception
know,
is
yeah,
like
their
very
perception
low.
can be really off just because they deal with this kind of stuff so much. And once I started bringing it to their attention, they're like, we had no idea, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I wonder.
For us,
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
For us, I was thinking maybe the stained glass is actually helpful since they aren't seeing
yeah,
the
and
big
it's,
window out there.
yeah,
At all.
and it's a lot of colors and, does it have glass in front of it? Like a sheet of glass in front of it too? Yeah, okay.
Does
But
it have
yeah.
a protective layer in front? I'm wondering if that would be a bad thing though. You don't want something that's gonna reflect and reflect trees or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the long skinny one, I'd have to think about the,
Is it lit? Is it backlit?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's actually front lit, isn't it?
depends on what you mean by the black and front.
Well,
If you're seeing it from the outside or the inside, is that
it's
what you're
lit on
saying?
the outside.
it's lit. So
It's
you,
lit on the outside so you can like see inside, right?
Well, in the daytime, we see the sunlight shining.
Yeah,
through
but
it.
at night, is it
night,
backlit?
If the sanctuary lights
If
are
the
on,
sanctuary lights are on,
you're gonna
so-
see it
Uh,
outside.
which is pretty rare, probably.
Right, not very.
Choir practice and a couple of the nights a week,
Yeah,
band practice.
But
I
then you
wondered
see
about, like the office, like Jenny's in my office, your office. Maybe,
We've got a lot of overhead.
yeah, that's true, maybe that shelters it some. Maybe that disrupts.
we'll walk the building.
Okay,
We'll see what we see.
okay. The big glass doors.
Yeah, doors can be an
Double
issue
doors. Yeah.
sometimes, especially like the ones that are the worst on our campus is we have this really cute little building and it's all the glass has glass louvers over it, right? So they don't hit those areas, but it has 2 places with doors that are on both sides, so it's completely see-through. And they think they can fly through that glass, and so that's the only 2 places that birds hit on that building at all, because all the rest of it is technically bird safe, right, with the louvers or some of our buildings have like perforated metal over the windows, like that is bird safe glass as well, it's just done in a different way. But
The courtyard may be the biggest issue, because you've got, like you say, you've got
It's
the
almost
tunnel.
like a funnel,
a
right?
funnel.
Yeah,
there are trees that go,
Glass at the end,
like,
and there's trees. in
Yes.
the-
yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah, that might be the place to watch.
Well, one thing about it, if the courtyard doors are the problem, we could do a demo installation.
There you
That's
go.
true. Yeah, that would be.
And if you wanna do sheets, let me know, cause I used to own a sign shop, so I'm really good at installing decals.
Yeah, that's spacing.
I can, well, that, and I can show you like all the cheater way to do it, so that you don't have to worry about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that,
Mhm.
that's good. I
That
was
sounds
curious
good.
about, like, say is there somebody that will come out and take a walk around your house, for example? Are there people that do that kind of thing? If you have, you know that you have a dead bird or two,
I mean, that,
kind of curious.
somebody might, yeah, I mean, like, somebody might volunteer to do it or whatever, but I mean, there's not like,
Not like you hire.
yeah,
somebody
there's
to
not
come
somebody you
in.
can hire or some, yeah, like that. I'd love for that to be my job though, so.
Oh, that's your future.
Right.
One question, is there someone on the KU campus here in Lawrence that is knowledgeable about this that might be able to do a walk around?
So it's interesting because we send all of our dead birds to KU, right? But the biology department is not doing a study. And I've had students that have been involved in my study that go to KU and then they're the ones that are like, oh my gosh, there's birds dying. Like the engineering building has a clear glass railing, right? And they send me pictures of like 3 robins dead on just laying on the sidewalk that hit that railing. Cause you know, robins are ground foragers, so that they fly low a lot and they hit that railing. And so I know there's issues there, right? But and then there's been more or less interest, and then COVID happened, and then I haven't heard a peep. So their facilities people, like, were approached, but they got rid of all their sustainability people. You know, they don't do recycling anymore. Oh, yeah.
Huh.
They don't recycle, they got rid of their recycling, they had a whole warehouse for it. Yeah, one of our first intern was their recycling coordinator. Yeah, they let everybody go during COVID.
Wow, oh, well, and then didn't recover it.
Nope, I don't think they wanted to.
Maybe that was what they
Yeah.
were waiting for.
So yeah, as far as I know, there's nobody interested. There is a group that's doing a study in downtown Kansas City. KC Bird Safe, and so as of yet, no one downtown has treated their windows, but they are doing reports every year. They present on it. The walkers are getting to be more accepted and better known. So they wear, you know, little safety vests so everyone knows who they are, and so, you know, it's just becoming more of a common thing for people. They're getting used to that, seeing these bird surveyors downtown. And I think that's part of the acceptance of this is an issue, that type of thing. And then Kansas City did just Lights Out Heartland helped kind of push it, but they did just declare, I think, lights out for migration. So they are going to try to get businesses to turn the lights off from 11 to 6 during migration, starting, I think, just recently. So
When is the fall migration again?
fall migration starts kind of in August, and then it can peak. Let's see, look at my chart here. So it kind of peaks in October. But there's a long buildup. You can see March is just like,
Yeah.
you know, is a spike, and fall just starts to climb in August and then peaks in October. I mean, we've walked from August to the day before Thanksgiving, pretty much, because we were still getting birds sometimes. So they're just not in this big a rush to get. Depends a lot on the weather.
It starts in July and goes up.
That one in July, so that was fall migration that year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a,
2018. It's all-
yeah.
2018.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, so that's our baseline year where we didn't have any remediation in place. Yeah, pretty much. So my goal is 70%. It's harder and harder, like, it's really easy the first year because you're like, this part of this building killed 40 birds, let's fix that, right? But now we're down to like, it killed 6 birds, and then it's like, 6 is my threshold, kind of. So if an area is consistently killing 6 birds a year, then I look at it for treatment. Our new C-Tech building, you remember, you were there for when they built C-Tech? Yeah, so that building went from 8 to 12 strikes a year to 27 last year. So the trees are started, you know, the trees they planted when it was new, now they're getting tall enough that the birds are sort of using them as little runways, and the strikes on that building have gone way up. So that's the one I'm putting the big curtain on to help. And then I have to make some other, the building is huge. And birds hit everything, so I don't know what I'm gonna do, but
My experience, there was always so many being caught in the stairwells and we'd try and free
yeah,
them out and free them. So why can't, what's the resistance to just taking those doors off?
it's not the doors. I mean,
Not the door?
and they don't get out the damn doors.
Oh, okay.
I wish it was that easy.
They go out through the garage itself?
They go often back out through the garage, and now, like, I will generally give them most of the day to try to figure out how to get out.
Mhm.
And we put the dots on the two sides, cause they used to bash themselves to death, right?
Mhm.
So now there's dots on both sides, so they can see there's something there, so they slow down. And they're not dying up there as much. But I have made a special net. Because you have to, it has to be at least 18 feet tall, and then it really needs to have like this much of an angle on it to get on those windowsills up there. So I've made a special net
Okay.
by Frankensteining a bunch of stuff together, and it has a ratcheting net head now.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, no, I just made it this year. I'm like, why didn't I think about this sooner? But we go in and catch them, so, and we get them out of there, usually without injury. We have injured a couple of them, but mostly they're fine.
How do you catch them?
Um, sometimes we can net them, like robins net pretty well, but we've had a lot of finches lately and they're super hard to catch. And so basically we just wear them out and chase them back and forth until on the one side, there's no place for them to land, and so they'll kind of get to the glass and they'll go down, and then we're like, and grab them and then let them out that way. But the good thing is, we used to get hummingbirds in there all the time, and we could not catch them, right? They die in there. And then it had that big opening on the one end with the trees running to it, so we put that big banner in there. Right, it looks like marketing,
Yeah.
it's actually a bird.
All right.
It's actually a bird remediation, and I convinced marketing to start paying for it after I bought the first. So now, we'll call it marketing, professional and visible. So we don't get hummingbirds anymore.
Okay.
And we get half as many birds as we used to. And right now we have we have expandable shower poles over the two entrances, and we have like party streamers on them. And I was hoping that would keep the birds from going in there, but it doesn't seem to be working, so. Just the movement and the sparkle, I thought maybe. But it's not working. So I don't think we're gonna see a drop in them. And birds going in there, so I don't. Just go catch them.
I saw a hummingbird hit, well, actually Stacy Lamb saw a hummingbird hit at Spin Pizza.
Oh,
And
damn.
It was just a little thump and it left a little dot on the window, but it didn't die
Yeah.
immediately.
Immediately, yeah.
We don't know what happened to it.
Hummingbirds are the only birds. I have been right there when a hummingbird hits the window and it went. They're the only
They make a
birds.
sound?
Yes.
Oh.
And when you pick them up, they're the only birds that make a sound as
Oh,
well. Like
okay.
they cry. It sounds like they're crying.
Mm.
Yeah. Most birds get really quiet, you know, but hummingbirds make a little noise. So. Anything else? Right. Well, we'll go walk the building.
Okay.
Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Well, I'm coming.
I should get a picture. Keep talking for a second.
What else can we talk about? Steve and I were loading 1,000 pounds of metal when Susan texted us and said, I'm at the church now. And I'm like, wait, this isn't tomorrow?
I was like, you're at college?
I know,
You having lunch?
thankfully, I mean, yeah,
The kids?
I don't know, I was just
Thank you for coming.
so messed up.
Yes, thank you.
But
When do you
thankfully,
retire? These are just completely.
when do I retire?
No, wait till you retire.
Oh, wait till I retire, oh,
There's no more.
gosh, I'm hoping
Oh,
that's, I'm hoping we have enough of a schedule to, I mean, we're running an event space, we'll have to at least know when the weekends are. But,
Thanks for being here.
yeah,
I'm glad that you didn't just have a heart attack and come.
no,
Heard that it was.
Steve was very impressed with me that. I'm like, we gotta go.
Do you have anybody on Zoom? Was that a Zoom?
Yeah,
John was on Zoom.
John was on
I think he was the only one that.
he was, yeah.
So, you guys didn't know if Margaret Arnold, sometimes Margaret, but she never really comes to the Team Purple thing.
Oh,
So she comes to lots of things, though.
Do you want me to stop sharing?
You can stop sharing
Will it stop
and you can
recording?
stop recording. I recorded it too.
Oh, good.
just in